You want your own son. Damn, get off of here. We don't give a fuck about y'all dumbasses. You or your slow ass. Get off. You feel it? Um,
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
they some weirdos.
The link is in her bio. The link is in my bio.
You want your own son. Stunna girl was bending that ass over for my son right now, ho.
The internet didn't just gasp this time, it clutched its pearls, dropped its jaw, and immediately ran to the comment section. Because when Blueface's mom Carlissa opened her mouth, she didn't whisper shade, she fired it with a megaphone. One sentence, 2 words, he upgraded. And just like that, Chrisean Rock's fans felt personally summoned to Chaos Court. This wasn't a random comment. This wasn't a slip of the tongue. This was a calculated verbal grenade lobbed straight into the most volatile fanbase on the internet. Carlissa didn't just praise Stunna Girl, she crowned her. Meanwhile, Chrisean's supporters were left, staring at their screens like someone just unplugged reality and plugged in disrespect. And the timing. Oh, it was filthy. Right as Stunna Girl was cooking for Blueface like a soft-launch sitcom wife, Carlissa slid in with a line so cold it made reality TV look like a Disney Channel reunion. No warning, no context. Just vibes, venom, and internet gasoline. Because when a mother co-signs a replacement, especially in public, it stops being gossip. It becomes a declaration. And the internet does not handle declarations calmly. This didn't feel like family drama anymore. It felt like a power move disguised as commentary. And once those words hit social media, there was no walking them back. Nothing. Hits the internet harder than a family member choosing sides in public. And Carlissa didn't just choose a side. She made an announcement. 2 words did all the damage. He upgraded, not whispered. Not softened, not explained away. Just dropped into the timeline like a lit match in a room full of gasoline, daring anyone nearby to pretend it wouldn't explode. Carlissa has never been a quiet observer in Blueface's chaos-filled universe. She's not the type to stay neutral, stay silent, or stay out of it. When drama circles her son, she steps forward, not back. And this time, she didn't come with concern or diplomacy. She came with commentary that felt less like opinion and more like a verdict. In internet language, upgraded isn't a compliment, it's a comparison. And comparisons online are invitations to war. The timing made it worse. Stunna Girl wasn't just present, she was visible. Cooking for Blueface, smiling, looking comfortable in a space fans once associated with Chrisean Rock. That imagery alone was enough to trigger reactions. But Carlissa's comment turned visuals into a narrative. Suddenly, it wasn't just he moved on, it was he moved up. And that implication landed like a slap to anyone who ever defended Chrisean with their keyboard and their blood pressure. Chrisean Rock's fanbase is known for loyalty that borders on combat readiness. They don't just support, they protect, they archive, they retaliate. So when Carlissa's words started circulating, it didn't take long for the temperature to rise. Screenshots spread faster than explanations. Comment sections flooded with disbelief, anger, sarcasm, and that familiar online question, who even asked her? But Carlissa didn't look like someone waiting to be asked. She looked like someone who had been waiting to speak. The internet immediately reframed the moment as something bigger than shade. This wasn't a random mom defending her son. This was being read as a public endorsement of Stunna Girl and a public dismissal of Chrisean Rock, all wrapped into casual syllables, and because it came from a parent. It carried a different kind of weight. Parents aren't supposed to escalate mess, they're supposed to de-escalate it. Carlissa did the opposite. Blogs rushed to frame the story carefully while still squeezing every drop of engagement out of it. Blueface's mom appears to shade Chrisean fans. Carlissa suggests Blueface upgraded. That careful language didn't soften the blow. It sharpened it, because appears to is just code for we all see it. Fans didn't debate whether the comment was intentional. They debated how disrespectful it was. Some argued Carlissa was simply expressing pride in her son's new Situation. Others said calling someone an upgrade automatically labels someone else a downgrade. And there's no way to dress that up nicely. The phrase became a lightning rod pulled into arguments about respect, boundaries, and why family members inserting themselves into messy relationships always makes things worse. What made the situation even more volatile was the history. Chrisean. Rock and Carlissa have never existed in the same space peacefully. Their dynamic has always felt tense, layered with past conflicts, public disagreements, and moments that made fans pick sides long ago. So when Carlissa spoke now, it didn't feel isolated. It felt cumulative, like something she'd been holding back finally found an opening. Stunna Girl's role in this phase of the drama was almost secondary, which somehow made it louder. She didn't need to say anything. Her presence alone became symbolic. Every smile was interpreted as confidence. Every normal post was treated like confirmation. Supporters framed her as calm, collected, and winning without trying. Critics accused her of benefiting from a narrative she didn't create but didn't stop either. Silence, once again, did more than words ever could. Meanwhile, Chrisean Rock didn't immediately respond, and that absence became part of the story. Fans expected fireworks. They expected a reaction. They expected emotion when none came. The internet filled the gap with assumption. Some said she was hurt. Others said she was above it. A few insisted she was plotting. The truth didn't matter. The speculation kept the story alive. Carlissa's comment didn't just spark outrage. It reframed the entire situation. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Blueface's love life. It was about validation. About who gets family approval. About who gets framed as progress instead of chaos. And those themes resonate deeply online, especially in spaces where relationships are treated like scorecards. The sarcasm came fast. Memes popped up joking about upgrades like phone plans and software updates. Others weren't laughing. They called it cruel, unnecessary, and intentionally provocative. And that split revealed something uncomfortable. A lot of people weren't actually defending Chrisean or attacking Carlissa. They were defending the idea that public humiliation shouldn't be normalized just because it's entertaining. But entertainment always wins the first round online. Carlissa didn't walk anything back. No clarification, no apology, no softening of tone. And that lack of retreat told its own story. It suggested confidence or indifference, or both. Either way, the message was already out there. And the internet had already decided what it meant. By the end of this phase, the lines were drawn. Carlissa wasn't just a mom commenting. She was a central character again. Stunna Girl wasn't just cooking. She was being framed as confirmation. Chrisean Rock wasn't just an ex. She was being compared without consent. And Blueface, he was the silent center of a storm he didn't need to speak to control. This wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. It was a narrative in motion. And once a narrative like this starts rolling, it doesn't stop with one comment. It demands reactions. It attracts sides, and it guarantees escalation. Because when a mother says he upgraded in public, the internet doesn't hear opinion. It hears a challenge. Once Carlissa's comment escaped its original post, it stopped being her opinion and became the internet's toy. That's when things always spiral. Screenshots started circulating without timestamps, without context, without mercy. Two words were pulled apart, reassembled, weaponized, and reposted like they were evidence in a trial nobody asked to attend. He upgraded wasn't just a sentence anymore. It was a slogan. Chrisean Rock's fans reacted exactly the way the internet expected them to. Loud, immediate, emotionally charged. Comment sections flooded with disbelief and anger. Not just at Carlissa, but at anyone perceived as benefiting from the situation. Some fans accused Carlissa of deliberately provoking a fanbase she knew would react. Others framed her as disrespectful for inserting herself into her son's relationship drama yet a guy. The tone shifted from shock to fury in a matter of hours. Memes poured in like floodwater. Some compared Blueface's love life to phone updates, joking about new versions and system downgrades. Others went darker, mocking the idea that relationships could be ranked like software. Humor gave people cover to say things they wouldn't dare say seriously. And once jokes start landing, accountability usually leaves the building. Stunna Girl became the unwilling centerpiece of a narrative she didn't officially start but couldn't escape. Her every move was scrutinized. A smile looked smug and neutral. Posts looked intentional. A lack of response looked like confirmation. Supporters praised her for staying unbothered, calling it grown woman energy. Critics accused her of enjoying the chaos from a safe distance. Silence stopped being neutral and started being interpreted as strategy. Reaction channels smelled blood. Everyone suddenly had a take, a timeline, and a theory. Some creators framed Carlissa as a mother protecting her son and applauding stability. Others argued that publicly ranking women connected to your child is a guaranteed way to inflame drama. Every reaction video added fuel. Because disagreement is engagement, and engagement pays the bills, the outrage expanded beyond Chrisean's fan base. Casual observers jumped in, debating whether Carlissa's words crossed a moral line. Some said honesty shouldn't be censored. Others pointed out that honesty without empathy is just cruelty with better branding. That argument didn't resolve anything, but it kept people talking. Which is the real currency online. Celebrity adjacency added another layer. No one made direct statements, but subtle signals were everywhere. Likes disappeared, comments got deleted. People who normally stayed quiet suddenly went silent in a way that felt intentional. Fans read into everything, treating social media behavior like body language in a tense conversation. In internet culture, what you don't do is often louder than what you do. Chrisean Rock's silence became a lightning rod. Fans demanded a response, as if one was owed. Others begged her not to react, saying engaging would only validate the disrespect. The pressure mounted from both sides. Every hour without a statement turned into another talking point. Silence, once again, proved to be the most disruptive choice available. The narrative began mutating. It wasn't just about Carlissa anymore. It became a debate about family boundaries, public shaming, and why parents commenting on their children's relationships online almost always ends badly. People dragged up past moments, old clips, and long-buried grievances, stacking them into a storyline that made this moment feel inevitable instead of isolated. Sarcasm sharpened. Jokes got meaner. The line between criticism and cruelty blurred until it barely existed. Some fans crossed it without hesitation, firing insults that had nothing to do with the original comment. That's when the tone started shifting from entertaining to uncomfortable. But discomfort doesn't stop virality. It often accelerates it. Carlissa didn't retreat. No clarification, no apology, no soft follow-up. That lack of backpedaling emboldened both sides. Supporters took it as proof she meant what she said. Critics saw it as confirmation she didn't care about the fallout. Either way, the comment stood unedited and unapologetic, anchoring the entire storm. Blueface's silence added another layer of tension. People speculated endlessly about his role, his feelings, his approval or disapproval. Some assumed his quiet meant agreement. Others argued he was smart enough not to jump into the fire. His absence allowed everyone else to write his script for him, and none of the versions were flattering. By this point, the situation had fully detached from reality. It wasn't about cooking, comments, or even relationships anymore. It was about power, validation, and who gets to define progress in someone else's life. The internet loves narratives with winners and losers, upgrades and downgrades, because they're easy to digest and impossible to resolve. And as the chaos peaked, one thing became painfully clear. This moment had outgrown everyone involved. The audience had taken control. The outrage was self-sustaining, and whatever came next wouldn't be funny, playful, or dismissible. Every viral storm reaches the same eerie moment of calm, The memes slow down, the comment sections stop refreshing. Every second, the internet exhales, stretches its fingers, and quietly moves on. But the people inside the storm don't get to move on that easily. They're left standing in the wreckage, trying to understand how one sentence turned into a public referendum on their lives. Carlos's words didn't disappear when the trend cooled. They settled, and once they settled, they started carrying weight. The phrase he upgraded became a label she couldn't detach from, no matter how casually it was delivered. Supporters still defended it as honesty, as a mother speaking, her mind without filters. Critics, however, reframed it as something more calculated, a deliberate choice to pour gasoline on a fanbase she knew would ignite. And once public opinion fractures like that, there's no clean win. Her reputation didn't implode, but it hardened. The internet began seeing her less as a blunt parent and more as an active participant in the drama ecosystem surrounding her. That shift matters because once someone is perceived as intentional, every future comment gets judged differently. Humor becomes provocation, honesty becomes hostility, silence becomes strategy. Carlos crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Not because of outrage, but because perception changed. Stunna Girl's position in the aftermath was even more complicated. She didn't speak, she didn't clarify, she didn't deny, and that absence allowed everyone else to narrate her role for her. To supporters, she looked unbothered, confident, and winning without lifting a finger. To critics, she looked like someone benefiting from a comparison she never asked for but didn't reject either. Online neutrality rarely exists. You're either complicit or strategic, and people will decide which one you are, whether it's fair or not. Her image subtly shifted from participant to symbol, not of wrongdoing, but of confirmation. Confirmation of the narrative Carlisa introduced. Confirmation that Blueface's life had entered a new chapter. And symbols carry expectations. The more she stayed calm, the more people projected intention onto her demeanor. Calm stopped being peaceful and started being interpreted as smug. Depending on who was watching, Chrisean Rock's silence became the most unexpected power move in the entire saga. At first, it frustrated her supporters. They wanted a response, they wanted defense, they wanted fireworks. But as time passed, that silence started reading differently. It stopped feeling like avoidance and started feeling like restraint. In a culture addicted to reaction, choosing not to perform became disruptive. Public perception of Chrisean didn't flip overnight, but it softened in places it usually didn't. Some viewers began questioning why she was constantly expected to absorb disrespect publicly. Others acknowledged that being compared without consent, especially by a family member, wasn't entertainment, it was humiliation. That shift didn't erase criticism of her past, but it added complexity to a narrative that often flattens people into caricatures. Behind the scenes, the consequences mattered more than trending hashtags. Brands, collaborators, and casual observers watched quietly. In the influencer economy, moments like this become case studies, not about morality, but about optics. Who looks chaotic? Who looks calculated? Who looks exhausting to be associated with? Those judgments don't trend, but they shape opportunities long after the internet loses interest. Blueface's silence became its own storyline as well. People interpreted it in every direction imaginable: agreement, indifference, strategy, avoidance. By saying nothing, he allowed everyone else to speak for him, and none of those voices aligned. His absence reinforced the idea that he remained the center of a narrative he didn't need to control to influence. Sometimes not speaking is the loudest move available. What lingered after the storm wasn't anger, it was discomfort. The kind that comes when entertainment starts brushing against something real. The idea that family members publicly ranking partners can become content, that fan loyalty can turn into emotional labor, that women get compared, labeled, and debated like products. All while millions watch and laugh. The internet didn't reflect on this moment. It archived it, and archived drama has a way of resurfacing at the worst possible times. a future argument, a new relationship, another comment taken out of context. This moment will be referenced again, not because it was resolved, but because it never was. What this saga exposed more than anything was how fragile dignity is online. How easily it gets traded for engagement, how quickly humor becomes harm. When the audience decides it's funny enough, and how power operates quietly through implication instead of accusation. Carlissa proved how a single sentence from the right person can reshape an entire narrative. Stunna. Girls showed how silence can be interpreted as victory or guilt depending on who's watching. Chrisean Rock demonstrated that not reacting doesn't mean losing control. Sometimes it means refusing to play a game designed to humiliate, and the internet, it did what it always does. It consumed the moment, argued about it, monetized it, and then moved on without accountability, leaving the people involved to deal with whatever version of the story stuck. This wasn't closure. It was a pause, a breath between scandals. Because in a culture where attention is currency and chaos is entertainment, stories like this don't end. They wait. And just like that, the internet does what it always does best. It watches, it judges, it picks sides, and then it scrolls away like nothing ever happened. One sentence turns into a spectacle, a family comment becomes a public trial, and millions of people feel entitled to decide who won and who lost. That's the real madness, not the drama itself. So now it's on you. Was Carlissa speaking her truth, or did she cross a line that never needed to be crossed? Was calling it an upgrade honesty? Or was it humiliation wrapped in confidence? And did Chrisean Rock's silence protect her peace, or did it let the narrative run wild? Drop your take in the comments, because that comment section is where the real conversation lives. If this breakdown had you nodding, laughing, or side-eyeing your screen, smash that like button like it owes you money. Hit subscribe like you're securing front row seats to the next viral implosion before it even trends. Because you already know, scandals don't slow down, they stack. Here at Celeb Sync, we don't just repost chaos. We decode it. We break down the power moves, the silence, the shade disguised as jokes, and the moments everyone pretends are accidental. And trust me, this story isn't over. The internet never forgets. It just waits for the next spark. So stay locked in, stay curious, and stay ready. Because the next comment, the next comparison, and the next so-called harmless joke is already loading. And when it drops, you won't hear it secondhand. You'll hear it here first. This is Celeb SYNC, where the drama connects, the truth syncs up, and the internet